Today I'd like to do a review of the new Speedlight diffuser box from SMD. It's their 70 centimeter version, so it's about 4 inches bigger than their previous models, and they've also redesigned the shape to being from a hexagonal 6-sided softbox to a 12-sided, which makes it a lot more round, especially in the catch lights, and you'll see that difference when we look at some of the sample photos. So far, I'll have to say it's a great softbox. It's just as good as the other ones that have come out from them. It is a bit pricey as usual, but the quality's there and it's so easy to use and it works so well. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, well, let's get to the details now. So, ta-da, here it is. Just like the previous Speedlight boxes, they come in a nice carrying case. It's a kind of a little bit of a neoprene and nylon mix, which seems pretty good quality. It comes with a nice strap that's adjustable, handlebags, and everything fits really well inside. Now, once you actually get into the insides of it, as usual, you'll have your same standard mounting bracket. And if you aren't familiar with some of these, what they come with is the softbox attaches on a two-pronged approach kind of sections that are tied with knobs. That kind of gives you a lot of room for adjusting the height, so it is height adjustable just like the previous ones. It also comes with a cold shoe that you can slide back and forth, and is also removable. So you can take this off and apply your own cold shoe, hot shoe, wireless receiver, whatever it is that you'd like to use. The other nice thing, if you guys haven't seen before, is of course these softboxes come on a tiltable bracket, and just like before, you can actually use it for a light stand. So there's a hole for that you can tighten, as well as a tripod mount too. So if you want to do it on a tripod or through a light stand, it will fit and you can rotate. Another thing that I hadn't noticed before, but I kind of looked over, is that there's actually a cold shoe bracket. So if you do have a shoe mount bracket, this will actually slide on top of it. Another just little nice thing that's there. One additional thing that they've kind of had for a while, I think, is they have a battery holder for their Speedlight trigger. If you have one of the receivers, you can use that alongside. Otherwise, most people tend to use this as a kind of handle to help adjust at different angles. So that's always nice. And the only unfortunate thing is this doesn't fold down anyway, which would kind of make it a little bit easier. But it seems pretty sturdy and tight on, so I'm not too worried about it bending. And one thing you can do to make sure you keep it in safe is to kind of keep it sideways like this, and have the umbrella or softbox in between. Now, once we get through that, next we have the new speed ring attachment, and you can see there's a lot more holes from the previous versions if you're familiar. They all kind of flatten down as before, and it's really generally pretty easy to put this together and take it apart as needed. Now, one thing I have noticed with this model is that the release levers, as you know, that you squeeze on both sides to release. Well, I've had issues with this a little bit where only half the side will actually release. Now, is that a problem? No, but it does kind of worry you at first because you think it's not actually working. But what I think with the 12-sided one, there's just a little more tension on the speed ring. So when you press, you'll release half of it. And what you need to do is then press it again, and the second half will come down or loosen up. Or what I like to do sometimes, just lay it on the floor a little bit and just give it a little push and then release, and it seems to come out fine. I'm hoping over time, after more usage, this will kind of loosen up a little bit more and it'll get adjusted. But I have noticed this on this one. It almost seems to be a two-sided approach. It doesn't seem to all come undone with one click. But that fits in nicely there. And now to the main portion is we have the actual Speedlight box over here. And you see a little bit longer than the previous ones, and I'll show a comparison later. But again, very nicely, it comes with a Velcro strap to attach it. You have your rods that'll be attached to the speed ring, and then also your front side diffuser that's already folded in. Now, if you open this up, as you can see, one of the new differences in this model is that it actually has a Velcro lining for the front diffuser. So now if you want to, you can actually take it apart and get to the inner diffuser, and which makes it a lot easier if you want to ever remove this, and also let you get some more harsh light on the outside and soft light in the center. So it gives you a little more adjustability, which I like. So I think that's really neat. And the other thing, before we get to actually showing how this all puts together, as in every speed box it seems that they do give you 2 extra rods. So real important, if you end up breaking one or losing one, you've got 2 other rods that they always give you in the package, so you only have something to use with. So in just a second, I'm going to go back and I'm going to put this together, and then I'll show you the size difference. Okay, so what I've done here just to save some time is I've at least put the rods inside the speed ring so we can at least see how it is extended. And then of course from here on, all you need to do is simply snap and click these in. And if you can tell, there are these little hooks or arrows that come out that just lock right in. And of course you just simply go one after the next and pop these guys. Oh, this one came out. There we go. There we go. And two. Okay, there you go. Now, pretty big size speed box for most people, I think. Now, there are some 80 centimeters or larger, but for a travel speed box, this is a pretty good size, and it makes it nice and compact. Definitely bigger than their previous one. Would be nice if they made an even larger one, but it'd probably be a little more, a lot more expensive going with their history of their pricing. But it is really well made and is pretty nice. Now, one thing I will say is that the 70mm does seem to be made of very good quality. The nylon is really well done. The stitchings are good. The rods are nice, and everything is very functional and just well thought of. Generally, haven't really had a problem. So I think overall a very good product. Maybe if you want a high quality product or willing to pay the extra price, it's worth it. Otherwise, there's obviously lots of alternatives on eBay. Some things from Westcott that are a little bit cheaper, and of course a bajillion things that you can find on Amazon and other online stores for comparable ones. Now, the one thing I like about this versus the Westcott soft boxes that are about similar size and shape is some of those are umbrella, I guess umbrella types. So you actually have to open up just like an umbrella and they come out. But they have the rods and other things that are kind of in the center. It does open quicker, so I give them that. But the light is kind of hitting all those other surfaces, and it makes it a little bit different. Whereas on this one, you really just put your flash straight through, and there's nothing in the way other than the internal diffuser and the extra one if you so choose it. So it's nice and clean, and as much as your light output is going through the outside of the box. So yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of a little bit of a difference that makes it's kind of a little nicer than the Westcott version, because there's some of them are about the similar price, especially the 60. The SMDV 60 runs about $150 online now, and the Westcott's version of it, which looks really similar, I believe they're actually made almost by the same companies or same Korean companies in the back end, but they're just a little bit different enough to where that one's more of an umbrella type opening, and it is quick to get out, but you have a bunch of metal pieces in the center, and there isn't an internal diffuser on some of them. So just something to think about. Now, we'll go to some samples in a second, but what I'm going to do now is build up the SMDV 60 and show you the differences between that one. Okay, so I've just built the hexagonal SMDV 60. It is a little smaller, it's also a little bit lighter, and as you can see, it's got a 6-sided shape. So now let me come in and bring the giant SMDV 70. If you can even see, it's quite a bit bigger. Not much you can really do. I mean, it almost, like I said, about 4 inches is about what we're talking about here in size. And again, you can see that this is a little bit more rounder shape and a little bit more parabolic. Obviously, much more 6-sided, easier to set up, easier to close, a little bit lighter. So obviously benefits to still having one of these and using them. But I would say that the light quality I've seen from this has also been really great. It is nicely diffused. It's a nice bigger softbox. So if you do want a bigger softbox, definitely I think it's worthwhile to get the 70, even with the price difference between the two. And it works well, and it's got the same features. So if you like everything that you like about the SMDV 60, you're going to really like the SMDV 70. Now, other than the size difference and a little bit of the weight, not much. They both function exactly the same. Both go through the same pronged interface, same release style. On the SMDV 60, you cannot take out the diffusion panel. There is an internal diffuser if you weren't aware, but it's also not really necessary. I think most people who are going to use this are going to have both diffusion panels on anyway. Again, with the 70, you get a little bit of an option now, which is nice if you wanted to. And even though there's a little more setup time with more of the rods and how it releases, it just it does such a great job. I think it's worthwhile. Now, going back to what I mentioned earlier about the price, this is retailing for about $250 right now versus about $150 for the SMDV 60. That's a lot of money for most people to kind of think about if they really want to get one of these or maybe almost two of the SMD60s for traveling. Personally, I actually got the SMD70 first, and I loved it so much and I liked how to use and how easy it was. I bought a 60 as a secondary light for when I travel, want to do some photography on the side. I can use it as either a fill light or maybe a key light and have this kind of be my main fill from a different side. It gave me a little bit different options. So would I've gotten two 70s? Maybe, but I think the 60 does a good job as well, and it'll be kind of nice to have just something that's a little bit different size if I want something more focused, a little bit a little less concentrated. So for me, this is what works. For you, you'll have to figure out, but I think right now the price of these are a little bit higher because they're new. Maybe when they drop down to 200 or maybe a little under, a lot more people will pick some of these up, but still worthwhile if you want a 70 centimeter softbox that's easy, portable, and well built. Gotta say it's pretty nice, and really don't have any complaints other than the release issue on this one. For example, as I'll show here, the SMDV 60, boom, pops right out. It's kind of fun, and you're kind of ready to go 6 sides, and you just wrap it all up. With the SMDV 70, it's a lot harder for whatever reason. And again, I think it's just because of the extra rods in tension. So as you can see, I get about half the rods popping out, and I get this horizontal shape, which at first I thought something was broken, and then I realized I just need to give it a good whirl. And if I can do it, which I use it to go on the ground, but needless to say, it does work. It just requires, there we go, requires a 2-part twist. So I had to go back on the ground and really give it another twist on the other side one more time, and then both halves finally release. I didn't see that mentioned in the instruction anywhere, and maybe I missed it, but it really didn't say that that should happen. But I've seen other YouTube videos of other people overseas that have been doing reviews of this also as well, and they seem to have had the same problem or design issue. Now, I don't think it's something that hurts it, it's just something you get used to, and it seems to be getting easier every time, so I think it'll wear itself out and be pretty quick to where eventually you can do both sides, after a second and pop them both out and not be a big deal. But really, that's really the only complaint I can think about, other than it's a little more pricey and the release isn't all in one to go. But great system, really well designed, real nice package, comes with everything you need, replacement parts, be able to remove the diffuser if you need to, great carrying bag, and shovel out other stuff in there if you need to, and so far seems to be like it'll hold up well enough for day-to-day use. I'm still worried about a little bit about the bracket here that may come off, but it does seem on pretty strong, and the rest of the bracket seems to be pretty well made. It's not metal, it is plastic, but it also makes it help to be light. And in case some of you weren't aware, again, this is not metal, this is also plastic. It's just shiny for reflectivity, but again, it's a pretty thick, heavy piece. Maybe not heavy, but it does feel solid enough that I wouldn't feel like this would get, break or get damaged in any sort of way. So all components seem to be pretty well built. So if you're going to get a softbox and need one that you think you'll just going to want to buy one and not deal with anything, and want something that works real well and easy to use, these guys seem to have made a pretty good product, and hopefully they'll come out with more and more as they expand, and maybe a 100 centimeter version or larger. So thank you so much.